thought it was great. It was everything that I could have ever asked in a school. You name a sport, they had it in one way or another. Volleyball, tennis, water polo, swimming, basketball, softball, lacrosse, theater, dance, different a cappella groups. There is all of that stuff they definitely had at the school too.
So we have four stories, and it's all math and science. And each room is equipped with the latest in technology, smart slate technology, which is like a smart board, except for you're on a slate and it projects onto a screen. Document cameras. We have a clicker system where students can actually be assessed and then click on their answers, and the answers were projected on a screen. We have voice enhancement for the teachers as well. Those are the basic components of every classroom.
There's no comparison. They beat us out. Like, I mean, they have everything we need, everything they have, we want.
I mean, bungalows, buildings, you know what I mean? Going across the street to use laboratories, going up the elevator to use laboratories. I mean, this school has nothing on that school, not even, well, the basketball team, of course, but that's about it.
They have more funds for stuff like labs, sports, and other kinds of stuff.
The background, the historical background of our school is, initially when it was opened, I want to say in the 50s, it was an elementary school. It was never built to be a high school. Because when high schools are built, they're built with gyms, usually, auditorium, science labs. That's what a high school needs. And an elementary doesn't have a gym normally, or a science lab, because that's not the state curriculum for elementary. So this was initially an elementary school. The high school didn't come on campus until 1995. And the idea was that it would be temporary and eventually move to another location. And here we are 13 years later.
I play softball, and we basically practice on the blacktop. Our home field is straight up in the ghetto, man. 54th and San Pedro, straight up.
Golf.
Do you guys practice here at the blacktop?
We don't actually practice because we have nowhere to practice. So we just go to the game and play.
Where do you guys practice?
In other people's gyms. Epic Centers, our home games, and where we practice on the concrete. You know, it's not too safe.
You know, you can tell there's not a lot of stuff that we have at the school that we need because we're always going to USC to use their equipment and, you know, their stuff. I mean, laboratories, a gym, a cafeteria, and an auditorium. Not a cafetorium like we have.
Schools get their money from, well, let's say 3 sources. One source is local revenue, which is mostly property taxes. One source is state revenues, which the state legislature chooses how to raise, which in our state are sales taxes and income taxes. So you may not pay income taxes yet, but when you buy something at the store, you pay a sales tax, right? Okay, and then the federal government provides some money as well. And the state and the local money is usually money that the district can decide how to spend, and the federal money is money that the districts have to spend in the way the federal government tells them to do it. Proposition 13 was passed in 1978, and it limits the property taxes that people pay on their houses. And so the legislature decides, once that money's collected, the legislature decides how it's divided up among school districts and cities and counties. And then the legislature tells each school district they get a certain amount of money for each child. And then they say if the property taxes aren't enough, we make up the difference.
My personal thing is that I really don't think that school funding should be based on property taxes. That's the inherent iniquity that's in the system, and my personal opinion is that until that inequity is adjusted or addressed, that some of the issues that plague the inner city schools are always going to. And it's systemic, it's inherent, and if anybody makes a move toward changing that, like all kind of resistance rises up, you know, and I just think until we care, it's not going to happen.
In LA Unified, quite frankly, I was very frustrated because there were layers upon layers of administration that you had to go through in order to get funding. And it's funny because if you look at a district like LA Unified, they're very wealthy, but to get to the money is much more problematic.
The community around here is just not like, oh, you need materials, let me write you a check, you get me? It basically has to do with the community around you, because our community is not like so rich that I'm just gonna write a check in here, you could do whatever you want with it and give it to your school.
It's about whether or not when they get to college, they're gonna be swamped. And that's what it's about. When they get to college, are they gonna be able to navigate? You know, are they going to be able to survive their freshman semesters, and you know, which is a big deal even if you're, you know, totally prepared. Are they going to be able to make it?
We don't get to take like as much AP classes as like we could, you know, so that we could be competitive in college, like at least the first year.
I want to become a doctor, but the school doesn't have like, it only has one class for like health, but it doesn't really prepare you.
We do have, you know, students going to Cal State, Berkeley, USC, all kind of stuff like that. You know, I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying it's hard.